Is it on phone?
Are you
There's
ready for some noise? This is the Sonic Pit podcast with Scott Mervis, Manny Thiner, and Mike Shanley. First of all, we want to thank the subscribers of Sonic Pit that are keeping us going so far. We
How
passed,
many?
we passed 500.
woo, nice.
We'd like to get 5,000
That'd be great.
someday.
So
We'll
tell all
see.
your friends.
And your enemies.
Yeah, your enemies
And everybody
too.
in between.
Yeah.
And everybody in between. We want to start the segment off talking about noise, which Manny Thiner is a specialist in. He knows quite a bit about noise, and there's something coming up that he's going to tell us about.
Yeah, this is the article that just came out. It's about a Pittsburgh Noise Fest on its second year of being held at the Little Giant Warehouse in Allentown on Friday the 26th of June and Saturday the 27th. And it's organized by two local labels, Cleaner Tapes and Black Ring Rituals. And for those who don't know anything about noise or the noise genre, it has a wide and long background in history, going from the futurists of the 1920s to the avant-garde composers like Cage and Stockhausen, to experimental forms of rock in the 70s like krautrock, and also very important industrial music like Throbbing Gristle, etc., going through to the mid 80s. And at some point, noise became its own genre, maybe early to mid 80s, in the sense that a bunch of groups in Japan, and now it's called the early Japanoise scene, like Merzbow, Incapacitants, Haijo Kaidan, CCCC, Hanatarash, who later became Boredoms, all did very extreme forms of sonic production that separated away from just mere industrial. And that's how the noise scene kind of started, spread all over the world.
This was like right when you were getting started in presenting music, too.
This
right?
was when I was getting into ordering albums from catalogs, DJing on the college radio, and doing my being in the international cassette label scene, and also doing some of my very first concerts in Pittsburgh in the late '80s. Some of them were actually noise shows. Yes.
Right. So there's like a subculture here that there's a lot of subcultures here.
Yeah.
But this is one that probably very many people know nothing about.
Sure, the noise subculture, I think, kicked off late 80s, early 90s, especially with a gentleman named Macro Nympha, who moved here from New England and then established himself as kind of the noise giant. He's kind of the elder noise guy, and has put out over 200 albums. I put out one of his very first records. I think it was actually his first vinyl record in '92. And from then on, there's been several generations of people doing noise. I actually put out another comp in early 2000s, a couple comps. And today, there are different groups of people around the city making noise, mainly on cassette labels, but also some vinyl as well. And like I said,
how big is this audience, Manny?
The audience for noise worldwide is
no, like in Pittsburgh.
How many people will come to the festival?
Yeah.
Well, I was told by organizer Brandon Wald from Black Ring Rituals that about 70 people came last year, and so he's hoping to move it well above 100 this year. It's a mix of noise artists from around the city and also around the country who are actually coming from places like Ohio and North Carolina and Florida, etc.
Okay.
Cool.
Did you have any questions about that, Mike?
Is it you had mentioned earlier about how many people were playing? Is it like a continuous thing where like one person's going to perform and then it segs into somebody else playing at another spot in the room?
I don't know if they have multiple stages. That's a good question. I guess you'll have to go and find out. But most noise bands, because people think of musicians as bands. Most noise artists are usually solo or duo, but there are of course well-known noise bands that a lot of people in the indie rock scene know about, like Wolf Eyes, for example, who are obviously not playing, but they come to Pittsburgh a lot. So yeah, you're going to see people on tables manipulating knobs a lot, and hopefully doing a lot of kinetic performance, banging on metal, scraping things which have contact mics on them, as in industrial music. And it'll vary from I don't know if there's more than one stage, but there'll definitely be a kind of a continuous level of noise for about 8 to 9 hours per night. And
So there's a performance art aspect to it in some of them. Like, is there like
very
video?
much,
Some
yeah.
of them have video.
And the
some of them-
Japanese guys did establish the performance element of it from the very start. Whether you're talking about Merzbow or CCCC, there was a woman in that band who dripped hot wax on herself. So, I mean, I don't know if any of that's going to happen directly in these performances, but you can expect some actual visual and kinetic elements, as well as obviously people manipulating sound on boxes. Yes.
Why do you think Japan was such an originator in this? Was it like the post-World War II?
I have a very good explanation for that. Everything Japan did in the avant-garde did to the extreme, because none of their stuff was original. They all they adapted Western modes, and so everything they took from the West, they pushed to extremes. Whether you're talking about anime or a gothic Lolita or manga, or it's just more expressive and more extreme than kind of the Western elements. So I think that's pretty much that was applied to noise as well in the 80s with artists like Merzbow. Yeah, I would say.
So you can read about his noise story on Sonic Pit. It published this week. It's a great story, and it really is like kind of a beginner story for people who don't know anything about it. Like right from the outset, you explain what it is, and it's not
Young
like
Person's
jumping.
Guide to Noise.
It's not like just jumping in cold to this.
Sure. I can be the Julian Cope of noise because he did that for Krautrock. But yeah, if you really want to experience it in its full glory, and you want to experience the genre known as harsh noise wall, which is one of the later incarnations of this genre, invented by a guy in France named Vomir, who's still around, then you really have to go yourself to Allentown, to the Little Giant Warehouse, and check out some of that, and either bring really good earplugs or buy them there.
All right, cool. All right, thanks. We'll be right back.